Right. A podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, comedy, entertainment, and so much more. Nick Durst here, along with Joe Calabrese and Joe. Many people are going to be very excited for this episode because maybe they were big baseball fans growing up, big Mets fans, Dodgers. So we'll get into that, but maybe a case of mistaken identity. You'll clarify that for us right now.
Yes. He is not a former professional baseball player. He's actually an award-winning comedian, voice actor, musician, and he's a Canadian, right? So another Canadian on with us. So Canadians generally tend to do well on this podcast. We certainly have a lot of fun with them. But you're right, not a baseball player, but still great in his own right. We welcome Paul Loduca to the program. Paul, welcome. How you doing?
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
So, Paul, growing up, or maybe going back at least a decade or so, what was your familiarity with the baseball catcher Paul Loduca, and how often do you get emailed for him or vice versa?
Actually, it's funny. The first time I heard of his name was I have an uncle named Paul Duca as well, who loves baseball. So when I was a kid, I had seen that Paul Duca was an actual baseball player because we saw it in the newspaper once. But as I was, fortunate enough to do what I do over the past, over a decade with music, especially in the beginning, I would have interviewers if we were doing a TV spot or whatever of people showing me like coming up to me with pictures of Paula Duca's wife. He's like, "Is this your wife?" Yeah, I'm like, "No, I'm not married. Okay, she's beautiful, but I'm not married. That's the other guy." So we would get cross-referenced a lot for funny little things like that. But I did end up having somebody tag me instead on Instagram once because Paula Duca does a lot of the horse racing now, or commentating for that. I had let him know. I reached out saying that you got the wrong guy here, and then I reached out to Paul saying, I can't remember what I said, but he messaged me back saying, "Wow, I can't believe that we got the same name here." He goes, "Next time you're in LA, you let me know. We're going for drinks." So it was very cool of him to even reach back out and have that happen. So it happens.
I think you have to get his baseball jersey, and you
I'm
should.
gonna have to, yeah. But technically, it would be my baseball jersey, wouldn't it? Now, so I do got to get a Lo Duca something with that on it. I think he does spell it differently though. Mine is one word.
Yeah, he's got the space and then the capital D.
Yeah. We'll let him have the space in the capital D.
Hey, Nick, do you think Paul Loduca and Paul Loduca ever get together for drinks?
That's the next chapter. We're going to work on that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So you're a proud Canadian living in Toronto. So talk about what it was like growing up.
I mean, Toronto was great growing up when here it's so diverse here that so much is going on. It's always been known as North Hollywood. So a lot of productions going on. I always wanted to be an actor and a musician, and I did all those things. And through high school, I kind of just tried to find. I used to draw really well too, so I tried to find something that would help me utilize all of my passions and my talents. And so I thought music would be great because I could draw the artwork for my CDs, and I could act in the music videos, and I get to write and perform music. I should just go into music. So I started putting together my bands, and I had that kind of mindset. And every day I try to think of like, what's one more little thing I could do today that the other guy's not doing? You know what I mean? Not the other Paul Duca, the other, just anyone else. Try to do what I do in music. And I just tried to better myself and learn about the business and the industry. I know I'm skipping from being a kid to this, but like being a kid, I loved comedy and I loved music. And Michael Jackson was like, I loved what he was doing, the theatrics he brought in with the performance, and the music, of course, was undeniable. So I grew up on that, and and watched all the same things that you guys watched. Some of my favorites, Jim Carrey was one of my favorites. Mike Myers, Adam Sandler, Robin Williams. All of these. There's so many names I'm leaving out, but I loved movies, I loved comedy, and I love music. So if I found a way to put them all together at some point, it would have been my ultimate. And then 20 in 2010, that dream kind of came true for me when I got signed with my band Neverest up here in Canada.
So I got to ask quick.
Yeah.
Growing up, did you follow sports at all? Were you a Maple Leafs fan or Raptors fans? And something that I do know about the Canada, Toronto area, when I was younger, a bunch of my friends used to watch Degrassi, right? So was that popular in your neck of the woods over there?
Yeah, Degrassi was huge here. I didn't grow up watching Degrassi. I had friends that were on like the later generations of Degrassi. Um, like Shane Kipple's a buddy of mine, and he was on the
How
show
about
with
that?
Drake. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Shane and I have done a bunch of comedy things together as well. And he was Drake's best friend on the show, and whatever. So that was Degrassi's always kind of been interweaved with my circle. Um, and what else did you ask me about? About you said Degrassi and
Oh, what about the sports teams?
oh,
The
sports. Yes, yeah,
yeah,
I love sport.
Blue
Yeah,
Jays too.
of
Yeah.
course I'm a Leafs fan. I'm a Jays fan, and I love the Raptors. I remember when this is aging me a bit, but when the Raptors first became a team, like I had the first shirt they ever printed, and it was so cool because it was such a cool name. The symbol was dope. Like so yeah, hockey mostly though is my main love.
You got it. It's a birthright there for sure.
Yeah,
Wrestling and hockey, it's in the veins of all the Toronto
yeah.
people. So we've had some other people from Toronto on or the areas on Julius Stewart Binks, Rick Campanelli. Rick Campanelli, like you, proud Italian,
Yeah.
tells us the food. The Italian food is fantastic in Toronto. So I gotta try that one day. So for you, Paul, love, marry, kill, chicken parm, pizza, or and pasta.
Chicken parm, pizza, and pasta. I'm gonna have to marry pasta because I just can't do without it. Do I have to kill anyone? What did they do to me? Nothing.
I guess kill it with your mouth.
Yeah, they killed it with the mouth. Well, I'm gonna kill all of them then because then I'll just eat them. Yeah, but and the veal
Sure.
parm, I could. That's my least favorite, let's say. So we'll kill that one.
How about you, Joe?
I got to marry chicken mom.
No, there
Uh,
You're a
you go.
chicken farm guy. Okay.
yeah, I think we'll just kill the pasta only because I think it's dependent on what you make and don't make with it, how you make it, how you don't make it. Some people like it al dente. I like it a little bit al dente. Some people prefer it softer,
I like
so
it
it's
soft.
easier to so it's easier to chew. So I think there's a little variance there with pasta. But yeah, so I prefer a good pizza, but overall, like a good well-rounded chicken parm dish is good.
I can't believe you. See, you got technical with it. See, I would have given that kind of answer, except I was like, yeah, kill this one and marry this one. What the fuck? Are we allowed to swear here? I'm not sure, but yeah, I love it. I love it al dente there too, as well.
Paul, you've done touring, you've gone around for jobs and
Yes.
stuff, but so where would you say are some of the cities with the best food?
I mean, for me, I know it sounds bad, but for me, it's hard for me to stray from Italian food because it's just better food. Okay? Not just because I'm Italian. I know lots of Italians who prefer Italian as well. I do like I like other things and whatever, but a good sign of a great Italian restaurant is just how authentic it can be. I know you guys got oh my god, I can't believe it's slipping me there. What's your the Olive Garden or some shit? And we have something called East Side Mario's up here, which are both, I'm sorry, horrible Italian restaurants compared to what we know as good and authentic Italian food. It's not commercialized chain nastiness. You can tell the difference. And a lot of them are mom and pop shops that are just better. So when I was on tour, I would try to find the best um, Italian restaurants. I'd ask around, see what was what. Sometimes
Yeah.
I get two or three of them, and I'd want to try all of them. And you got to base it on how well their sauce, how well their sauce is made. Even if it's a basic tomato and basil sauce, you know what I mean? that's how you gauge. Or on the pizza, how's the sauce on the pizza? If it's
Right.
good enough.
Joe, why don't you tell Paul what island has the best Italian food?
Well, in around New York City over here, Nick and I grew up on Staten Island, and there are a lot of really great Italian restaurants, a lot of really great pizzerias on Staten Island in particular. As you go around the other boroughs, Brooklyn's got a couple of good ones. The Bronx has some good ones. There are good ones, good like restaurants and stuff scattered throughout Jersey, and I would say some areas of Long Island and Westchester. But like when you get into the heart of the city, I think unless you're like I think like authentic Italian restaurants, but when my father is in Chinatown, literally over there, like you
Yeah.
can find really great restaurants over there. But I think in terms of like it might be a little bit too scattered, to find something a little more like you were saying, like real thick, authentic, Italian and cuisine. So if you're ever in the New York City area, you come to Staten Island. We have really, really, really great food over here. Some of the best pizza in the country. My friend went to Quinnipiac in Connecticut, so he's a New Haven guy. So a lot of those pizzerias over there, he could test it. He loves being over there. But in terms of pizza, Staten Island's got some of the best.
That's good to know. I'm trying to get to New York sometime soon, actually, and I've only ever been in Manhattan. I was there for a night, and I did have something. I can't remember what pizza place it was, but it was one of those giant slices.
One of the, I was gonna say those $1 slices. I mean, they're okay, but you got to avoid them. There's a lot.
Yeah, well,
I was there,
that's all I had, but it was pretty good.
$1 slice is the way to go in Manhattan. I think that's the best way. But last food question, Paul. You love these Italian restaurants, the authentic. So they bring the hot bread. Hopefully, it's hot when Are you a butter guy or are you an olive oil guy?
I'm good with both.
All right, that's a good one.
I get, and the olive oil's got to have a little bit of the vinegar in it too, if I do it. But I mean, it's almost nothing beats hot bread and butter,
Wow.
especially when it's nice and fresh.
It's got to be fresh.
So,
yeah, for sure.
But I do have both. I'm not complaining when bread hits the table.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So you mentioned before, started off your career professionally doing music. So how did you first get started in the world of comedy and then voice acting?
So I can't tell you that without telling you the first part. Really, the band up here did very well for a good 6 years, from 2010 to 2016. One of the Backstreet Boys was our manager, Howie D.
Wow.
And when I was in Manhattan, actually, I was there with him, performing with him on Good Day New York. That's why we went there. And we also were able to do the NBA All-Star Game in 2012 in Orlando. And, one of the biggest things we did then. But we saw a lot of great radio success up here with like 8 singles. And we tried to break in the States multiple times. We were there a lot. But in Canada, we became one of the household band names, which was, a dream come true for me. And we toured with Backstreet Boys and New Kids on the Block for many years as well. And that was, huge for us. And we were a pop rock group. We all sang 4-part harmonies, all of these things. But we were a band that was always laughing, always joking, known for our humor that way. And that's kind of why I loved being in that band as well, because we embraced literally who we are and how silly we could be. But we took it, we still appreciated everything we had. When the band had to come to a stop in 2016, I had to stay productive. So I got back into, acting like I used to when I was a kid, proper training, this and that. And then I started taking advantage of my social media platforms and doing my own sketch comedy. And teaching myself how to edit and, just getting the comedic timing I had in person through video, and I found it even more exciting doing it through video. So really all of these things kind of amalgamated into this, what I've been fortunate enough to build in the last 7 or 8 years. I've been able to build a very successful viral comedy platform across all platforms, which I'm grateful to say, but I put my hard work into all of it. And I put up stuff that makes me laugh. And in doing so, I was able to work with some of the comedians that I grew up loving. And it was an honor that any of them even thought that I might be funny, like Joe Avati, I grew up, loving. I've done some stuff with Joe Avati and Frank Spadone up here and Mike Marino, who it was just awesome, and I was fortunate enough to capture that kind of attention and presence in what I do. And it's rewarding because it's just me. I love to be silly. I love doing characters. I love making people laugh, but I love making myself laugh. That's important. Even Jim Carrey said it. If you're not making yourself laugh, you're doing it wrong, right? And I really embraced that. So for 7 years, I built multiple comedy brands and I made a ton of great new friends and connections in the business. And now my focus in the past 2 years has been voice acting, which I've been lucky enough to capture any other or achieve the dreams that I always grew up wanting to do. The music thing was huge, and the acting thing I'm still doing and whatever, and achieving more with that. But the voice acting, like I've always wanted my own cartoon, and to be doing most of the characters. Like I love the Seth MacFarlanes and the Nick Krolls and anybody who successfully has these cartoon shows, but is also a great stand-up comedian or just great with characters and voices and great with their comedy. And those are part of my my new goals in the stratosphere of what to do with voice acting. I love the character work.
So, is the band going to be getting back together anytime soon? Maybe
We already
10-year reunion in 3 years.
we'll see. We did a like a 5 year reunion or so back in 2019, just before the pandemic, and that went very well. We released a new album and everything. It's called The Lost Tracks, and like I said, the band is called Neverfest. But no plans to keep going with that. We have other things, and honestly, it's very very difficult in the music world because you need to make a living. We live on this earth where we all still got to pay our bills.
Right.
It's not just about, getting the notoriety for what you do. You got to get paid. And there's no shame in that. And the problem with the music business, even when you see great success, is very hard to maintain a living. And that's the truth. That's just, I would never discourage anybody from doing it because I went after my dreams and achieved more than I could ever imagine. But it's still, I still got to work. You know what I mean? I got to do other things to keep myself afloat. And that's just the nature of the whole entertainment business. You can do things very well and be professional with it, but the consistency of work is what the issue is, So, and not being screwed over by any managers or agents because that's another whole thing you got to look out for in the business.
So let's say you guys put together a little reunion tour, 4 or 5 shows. Would you consider being the opening act for yourself? So you go out there, you do a little comedy, and you're like, now give it up for me and my bandmates.
Give it up for me. I got the band coming. I'm going to be in that too. You can see me. No, I'm not going to say never, but maybe. What I found is that your music fans and comedy fans, the ones that I have anyways, are very different people. It's weird because you grew up as a lot of the entertainment world or people can only accept people as one thing at a time. It's very weird, right? Until you become like The Rock or something like that, and they accept you. Oh, you're a wrestler and you're an actor and you're a singer and you do all these things. People seem to only accept one thing at a time. So when I went into comedy, a lot of my music fans they weren't digging it, right? But I developed a whole new platform of people who love me for that and resonate with that more than the music I was doing. So there's a beauty to all of it, but I don't know. I don't know if it would be the same crowd that came out to the band thing.
Yeah, makes sense. So for you, what is your creative process when developing new material for your videos, and how does that kind of translate to your stand-up act? Because you're doing a quick bit on a video and then they're like, this is different than the routine. So how do you kind of manage those expectations, and really what's the major differences between doing stand-up comedy and doing comedy videos specifically for social media?
Oh, there's a huge difference. Doing stand-up, I've only done a little bit of stand-up. I haven't done a lot of stand-up. And when I did it, I was fortunate that it went well and everything was cool. But the translation of what I do on video to stand-up is very, very difficult because you're presenting it differently. I did do a bit where I would incorporate my videos on screen with my stand-up act before. Excuse me. But, the whole process for it is different. You know, when you're on stage doing stand-up, you're not up there with four other guys in a band. You're up there by yourself. So you're either winning by yourself or you're losing by yourself. It can be a very scary place. But when you are confident in the material that you have, even if it's brand new, like I said, you got to go up there and do it for yourself. So that's how I approach my comedy, even my videos. What do I think is funny? I'm not gonna worry about who it's gonna offend, this and that, whatever. I don't do stuff that's truly offensive. You know what I mean? We all grew up watching Saturday Night Live and Mad TV, okay, where they made fun of all different kinds of cultures. Not fun of. They use different cultures and different accents that are funny. Okay, whether you're doing a Chinese accent, an Indian accent, an Italian accent, we're bringing the warmth and what's charming about the culture to the forefront and conveying it in a relatable way. That's why guys like Sebastian Maniscalco and Russell Peters, you don't need to be Italian or Indian to enjoy or love their comedy, right? People get it. It's funny. It's not meant to be offensive and hurt people. It's you know. So my comedy is the same thing. If it makes me laugh, I'm going to put it up. I really don't. It's a bonus for me if other people think it's funny, and that's kind of my the secret sauce for me. It just has worked. If I think it's funny, it's going to be funny. Because if you're not a fan of your own stuff, again, what's the point, right? I'm not going to do it just because the trends say, well, I should put something in here and put a keyword here and talk about gender. You know what I mean? It's all that stuff really is noise to me now. It's too far over here. The pendulum has got to swing back to the balance. Because a lot of what's happened in the last 3 years, especially, has killed comedy. It's killed it.
So what are some of the other challenges that you face as a comedian? You kind of alluded to this, doing individual stuff, right, for yourself, as opposed to getting out there as a group, right? So the solo versus group thing, definitely a challenge. The pendulum, right, as you mentioned, that's something that comedians have faced as a challenge here the last couple of years since the pandemic happened. So what are some other challenges, maybe politically, that you faced trying to do comedy, other challenges as a voice actor as well, and how have you overcome them?
Again, the challenges as a voice actor, you really got to shine in what you do, because there's so many people trying to do the same thing, and the consistency of work is what's really difficult. Other than that, going after what you love and what you do. I put out voice demos. Just put a new character demo with animations that I had custom made for what I'm trying to convey. I want people to see that. So you just kind of show, what you bring to the table as far as this stuff goes. How do you get your comedy out there? It's all originally, I wrote it. It's all stuff that I hope can, lands me bigger work so I can show the world, and be in one of these Pixar and Disney movies that I have grown up watching, there's really no limits. You put limits on yourself. The only thing that's out of your control is if you get the part out of 100 people auditioning, so that's why you make it your own business. And that's why I have my own business with doing voiceovers for businesses, for commercials, for anything, my own cartoons. Like I said, I'm trying to develop my own. So those challenges are only challenges as much as I make them for myself. I think that they're very doable things that I'm just in the process of figuring out how to make it work best for me. And comedy in general, stand-up comedians, again, I have tremendous respect and admiration for the guys who keep going up there every night and just trying new stuff, because it's very difficult in this climate. A lot of people are sick of all the, which is better now. It's nice to see, where most people are just sick of what's trying to be forced down our throat about a lot of things, not to get too specific in all of it. So yeah, even here, I don't know how, I don't even want to, it's not that I want to offend even you guys. I don't know what you think or what your philosophies are. The point is I respect that you do, because you're not trying to shove them down my throat, right? Mm-hmm. You believe what you believe and I believe what I believe, and it doesn't matter. I think you're great, and I'm going to show you that kind of respect. That's the kind of change you need to be, in the kind of genuine space you need to live from. And being a comedian, if I'm talking about something I think is funny, it's because I think it's funny, and many others probably do too, because it's relatable, right? And if you're offended at a show, I've been to shows where they rip apart Italians, you know what I mean? So it's like, but I think it's funny because I know not to take it personally. This person doesn't know me. They're not trying to knock me, you know what I'm saying? So this culture is too sensitive. The whole cancel culture bullshit is just that, okay? Why are we canceling people? they say something wrong, they can take responsibility for it, fine. But like, them and their family got to eat too, right? They didn't murder anybody, right? So this is how I see it. We can't be so sensitive about everything. I keep myself in check with that too. We all choose what to be offended by. That's the reality.
Yeah.
You know, I can either choose to be or choose not to be. Oh, this guy said this thing, kind of bothered me, but really, do I need to care? Do I need to care? You know what I mean? It's not like it's your mother saying it to you, where it's someone who you care about what they think. It's like and even that you gotta, you still gotta do you, right? Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point of living our lives for other people? Okay, in service of other people, in helping other people, yes, maybe, but we don't need to live by other people's fears and insecurities.
So we really don't talk politics on here, but I have to ask you, as someone who was living in Toronto during this era, Rob Ford, what was it like having him as your mayor?
Rob Ford. I had the pleasure of meeting Rob Ford back in 2012. Him and his family, and he was a sweetheart. He was nice. What's he gonna be? He's gonna be a dick to me? No, right? I don't know what he's really like. You know what I mean? He was very nice. It's unfortunate he had an addiction or a problem at the time. It's unfortunate that Toronto was put on the map in that way at that time. But I think people like Drake, Bieber, and The Weeknd, and many other people have put Toronto on a map in a much better way. People don't remember that anymore, right? But I know it was a big thing there. I know Jimmy Kimmel had him on and all this stuff, and
Yeah.
they were making fun of him, and that's another thing, and he's just there smiling, like doing it for the publicity and whatever. But in the end, I think that Rob Ford, from what I saw and the people that I did know him, he had a good heart.
You
So
mentioned Jimmy Kimmel. Do you think Joe looks like Jimmy Kimmel a little bit?
how you say at first glance, yeah. But he's got his own look. Joe, you're
Joe's
doing all right.
My own
Don't worry
look.
about Jimmy. Never
Joe,
mind.
Yeah, I'm
Jimmy
better
ain't
looking
paying your
than Jimmy.
bills. Yeah.
yeah, forget about him.
Absolutely.
So, Paul, if you
Yeah.
had the opportunity here to do live shows with, or to do voiceover work with a comedy sketch type
Yeah.
of comic thing, and you could pick any comedians to work with, give
Yeah.
us a few of who you'd want to target.
Nick Kroll, absolutely. He's one of the funniest to me and amazing. I love his show Big Mouth, and just the creativity is amazing. Trey Parker and Matt Stone of South Park, absolutely would love to work with them. And Seth MacFarlane, Family Guy and American Dad. This guy's done everything from music to the musicals to the theater to acting to just the way he works. I mean, it would be an honor to work with any of them. But I love Adam Sandler. Okay, and I love Mike Myers and these guys who have done these things with their own productions, and even the voice work like Hotel Transylvania with Adam Sandler. He's done a few other things too, but like I love uh, you know who seem to be good people. Do I know them? Are they dicks in real life? Probably, but from what I see, again, I don't get starstruck. I'm not like, I've been fortunate to be in the business for a while. I've met so-called celebrities and important figures and whatever. And it all I cared about was how they treated me, right? Because I treated them the same way. I didn't treat them, like I was freaking out. It was like I'm trying to make genuine moments with people for me in my life.
Yeah. Has anybody, and you don't have to maybe say names, but have you met people where you had high expectations and they treated you like garbage because they thought they were on this higher pedestal than they really were?
Some people have that air about them. They didn't necessarily treat me bad. You know what I mean? Some people are very flaky. A lot of actors don't know who they really are. Okay. Even if they're super famous, it's like, I can't even believe you've made it this far in life without knowing who you are. Of course, you try to portray everyone else in your life but yourself. But, and I say that truthfully because, a lot of people are flaky. They're just flaky, whether they're famous or not, and for me, I'm just about genuine work, genuine people, surrounding myself with real things. Yeah. You may not hear that a lot, but that's the point, for me. It's not about the fame and the fortune. It's about how I make a living doing what I love. You know what I'm saying? And not getting stuck in, the the nasty that we've learned Hollywood is and can be. You know what I mean? I'm not, if it works and it's something wholesome for me in that way. When I say wholesome, I mean just as uncorrupt as possible. You know what I mean? Because I've seen that as well. Again, people won't talk to this. I'm not. It's all of it. Almost all of it is corrupt. None of it's fair. We understand that, but a lot of it's just corrupt and biased and judgmental, and it's disgusting. And you need to like really have a grip on yourself and who you are and what you want to do, right? And we can do it. That's the beauty. We can do it. We can take advantage of our social platforms. We can build our own platforms and channels, right? And that's always what I've tried to do for myself. And the greats like Adam Sandler and Mike Myers, these guys paved the way for themselves as well, right? They had help, they had big name help, but they still made a mark, and now they're doing what they want to do. That's the ultimate. The ultimate. I mean, you're still going to run into the politics of stuff, but you got to keep weighing out what's going to keep your soul with you or not, right? You know what I mean?
I also think there are different components to this, and
Of course
especially
there are.
in the entertainment industry, I think many people kind of have to have their hands held, and whether it's your manager in particular, whether it's other people for the agency you work for, whether it is public relations people or PR people that you have, right? So it's in some way, I think people could, at the very least, find common ground with what you're saying, with how all these people, even if they don't necessarily treat you bad, there's a certain air to them that comes across that could be flaky or, cold, or, there's resistance there. So in your personal opinion, having been around some of those famous people, what type of advice would you give for people who are aspiring comedians looking to break into the industry, and especially aspiring voice actors, because that's something that I think is a little more specialized, right?
Yeah.
Not a lot of people grow up saying like, oh, like I do want to be the voice in my own cartoon, or in commercials and stuff like that. And usually it's like people with an innate speaking ability, or special voice ability, that like to get into that stuff. So what would you give? What kind of advice would you give those people?
For the voice stuff specifically, and I'm still pretty new to that realm of the entertainment industry. I've had some great mentors. One's from New York, actually. His name is Uncle Roy. But it's you really just you have to put it out there. You have to get your demos done, but do things. If you find a great producer that kind of helps bring out the best in you and your writing, it's like a singer going into the booth to record vocals with a great producer. They have to push you, right? So you want to surround yourself with people who help not only encourage you, but like push you a little bit, to be the best that you can be and grow. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's the truth. I mean, I was very green coming into this, and I had to pay like please teach me. You know what I mean? Like you have to be open to learn, and to be listening to what people have to tell you who have done it before you and are successful at it. And just a step at a time, one baby step. Like I said, all you have to wake up and do, if you don't want to do all of it that day or a lot of it, just what is one more little thing that you could do today to better your craft? That's it. Even if it's doing research about it, you don't necessarily have to be recording every day. It's good if you do, but in the end, it's trying not to overwhelm yourself, because in this industry, in this climate, it's anxiety fueled. Everyone has anxiety, but it's very overwhelming, especially as an actor or a voice actor, and you're constantly being judged and this and that. You have to remember that you cannot be defined by these things. Only you can do you, right? And you can better. You have to learn how to be honest with yourself. You have to be able to do that, take responsibility for the things that you need to work on. But in the end, as long as you're putting energy towards the right spot and doing it for the right reasons, because you love it, truly, all of those good things will come. Okay, because if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you're going to get your 15 minutes of fame, and then you're going to hate your life, and a lot of people will probably hate you after a little bit. And no matter what you do, even if you're doing something you love, there are going to be haters. So it's learning how to ignore the noise as well and stay focused. And that's across the board, not just with voice acting. Of course, I'm still an actor. I still love acting. I love being on camera. I love doing comedy stuff and dramatic stuff. But in the end, you're doing auditions, and you have to forget about it. Do your best, forget about it, move on to the next, work for yourself, keeping yourself productive, not necessarily busy, but productive, so that you feel at your best. You got to keep yourself out of those holes, because it's very easy to get there. And that's all tied to the type of advice you're asking for in this sense. You have to find ways not to beat yourself up, because it's difficult. But you can do it. We all can do it. So
That's good
that good.
advice.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's very good. No, we like the answers that you're giving us. Very, very genuine type of answers, not beat around the bush type of answers. Something that I did want to ask you is that one of my favorite shows of all time is Entourage. And there's a storyline in the later season of the show where character Johnny Drama is presented an idea by CBS for his own cartoon. It's called Johnny Bananas. At first, he hates the idea because he thinks it's making a mockery of his acting career. And then eventually he ends up doing it. And his partner is Andrew Dice Clay. And the storyline itself is kind of funny. So I wanted to ask, ideally, what type of character you would want if you were to construct like that style of animation show, and you were like the lead character and lead voice character. And then all the projects that you have coming up. What do you have coming up? What are you excited about?
For the cartoons, like I said, I do so many wacky, silly voices in my everyday just being. So to kind of put them in a demo, which I've done, and just kind of try to bring those types of characters to life and put a face to them is something I've had so much fun doing. I love New Yorkers, and I love the accent, and I'm Italian as well, of course, whatever, and I'm kind of there you go, and I'm like very. It's not even that Italians kind of already the attitude that we have when we speak normally is hilarious to me. And
Well,
this
let me
with
ask
the
you a
New York accent.
question. What do
Pardon?
you drink? What do you drink in the morning?
What I drink? I drink water. What do you?
No, do you drink coffee or do you drink coffee?
In Toronto, we drink coffee.
It's coffee. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
coffee. It's
coffee.
not
In,
coffee
in New
here.
York, it's coffee. Yeah, but no, it's
Water.
pardon?
Water.
Water. Yeah, yeah. Up here, it's water.
Water.
Water. Yeah, I know. Sounds hilarious. But yeah, that would probably be my main character. I love doing this. I do a lot of stuff with other Italian comedians where we're just bouncing off each other like this too. Matthew Giuffrida and Massimo. I don't know if you guys know Massimo. He's a hilarious comedian as well. But that kind of vibe has just always spoken to me. It's been my favorite to do. I can do it without thinking. And yeah, we love even my girlfriend and I will just be talking to each other in that accent. Again, it's not making fun. It's like literally there's so much charm about it that you have so much fun. You know what I mean? Talking like that. And I'm Italian, so it just kind of comes naturally anyway. So that would probably be the main character it's based around. But I would have all these secondary characters, much like how Mike Myers plays all his characters and Nick Kroll plays all the voices in his characters, right? So
There you go. All right. So, Paul, in your life or your career, what would you say is your right moment? What I mean by that is a time or place where you wanted to pursue something. You asked somebody for advice. They're like, Paul, that's an awful idea. Don't do that. And you were like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. And ultimately, you will see why it is that I'm right.
yeah, you're asking when that exact moment was?
Yeah. Any sort of moment like that that happens to you.
There are all kinds of moments like that, and it's constantly testing you, and it gets into your head sometimes, and then you have to test yourself. You got to be like, am I strong enough to get through this? Do I believe that I am going to be that one in a million that does this? And it's that, to me, I look at it as practice. Okay, because my heart already told me that I want to do these things. My heart already told me why I love these things. I've already seen the benefits of how it connects with other people, you know, whether if you're in a band and you have thousands of people singing back the lyrics to your song, you know, you're connecting with them, right? If you're doing comedy videos like I do, which and people stop me to say how funny they think the videos are, or they watch it with their father or their mother, and it's the only time that they have with them, and they enjoy it. Like, that's more rewarding than you could even you know, imagine, you know. And hopefully one day, if somebody's a kid or even adult comes to me and they love the cartoon show that I'm on, and they want me to do the voice for them or something like that, you know, that's cool too, right? You know, I have these, you know, people that I love that have, you know, gone through all these things as well. But it's constantly like, yeah, everybody tries to do this, buddy. What are you doing, right? Just what you got to remember, that people only judge you based on what they think they can do, which is the truth and is sad at the same time. It's like, shit, if you can't do, that's fine. You know, you're not into music, you don't need to do music, right? But let me do music, and if it sucks, it sucks. What does it hurt to encourage? You know, it's only hurtful if you really do, like, are terrible. You haven't worked in your craft, and people are like telling you it's good when it's not. That can be hurtful as well, and not beneficial. So you kind of need that constructive criticism, but you don't need the hate, you know, to drive what you're doing. You just use it as a kind of a bit of a motivator, but not the main motivator. You need to believe that you can do it, right? And I always did, and I've proven it to myself countless times. And the band being the main thing. I was in so many bands before that, trying to make it on the Toronto scene, and you realize it doesn't even work like that. You meet the right people, and you just kind of you build something that's genuine to you. And when it's genuine, the right people, the right team, things start to happen. Maybe they're not the biggest things, but something better than what was starts to happen. So you know, I've had so many of those moments. But when my band first made it, if you will, is when I really felt like, you know, validated even more so in the belief in myself. Like, see, I still did it. My relationships were shit. No one believed in me. My family was supportive, but still, like, you know, people, you know, they want to get the real job, you know, all this stuff. But you put in this time when you're building something, no matter what it is, even this podcast that you guys have built, right? You got to, I know how rewarding it must have been. It must be so far for you guys, you know, to see how, you know, people react and engage with what you're doing, and they will more. But like, it's important to have those moments. You have to embrace them though, and not let them destroy you.
Absolutely. Well said. Everybody has innate ability and talent. It's just a matter of figuring out what it is and harnessing it and developing it. So, Paul, all great answers. We appreciate your time. Last question from me.
Yeah.
Something that separates me specifically from Nick. Loves when I ask this question, so I gotta ask it mostly at the end of every episode. Not every episode, but mostly. So I am actually into astrology, which is kind of different, you know, more of a female thing, right? But I'm very into it. So I have to ask you what your sign is in particular. Has that topic come up in your career at all?
I'm very much a Leo.
There you go.
And my birthday's July 30th, but I've heard, because you must know way better than I do, then if you're really into astrology, because I heard that you got all these different moons and shit. So, and apparently that paints some of what your personality is or what affects you. And I don't know all of those things, so I don't know what kind of moons I have or anything like that. But I know I'm primarily a Leo, very much so. So,
Well,
how about you?
hey, so, well, I'm a Cancer. I'm July 4th, so I'm
Nice.
earlier in July. Nick is
Yeah.
a so what I will say is, in terms of astrology, yes, there are other planet factors. Essentially, the positioning of the planets and how they aspect each other is really what's relatively important. But you do exhibit the characteristics of a Leo, right? They like to be the center of attention. However, they get a bad rap because everybody thinks they're selfish. No, they like to be the center of attention, and they like to bring other people into that little world, right?
Yeah.
So they like to build other people up, and they're very warm.
Royal, yes.
In terms of numerology, you're also born on a 3-day, which is the number of the communicator, right? So everything that you've done up to this point so far in your life, whether you've done comedy, whether you've performed in a band, whether you're looking to do the voice acting and stuff like that. Obviously, 3 being the number of the communicator, the number of expression, right? So you see a lot of comedians, a lot of singers, a lot of people like that, especially in the entertainment industry, typically tend to be born on 3 and 5 days. So
very interesting. Thank you for
thank
you for that.
Got it. So Paul, one more time, thank you for doing this with us. We really, really appreciate it. What we do here is we give our guests the last words. So we know that you do have some other things to promote, but if there's anything else you would like to share on top of that, by all means, go ahead and do this. We wish you the best of luck moving forward, and hopefully you can come to New York a little more. Nick and I would love to get together in person one day, maybe take you out for real Italian food here in New York.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, no, thanks again for doing this with us.
My pleasure entirely, guys. It's been a real pleasure, honestly. So, and I will take you up on that New York thing. If I get there, I'll let you know, and we'll do it. And thank you for letting me speak and talk about the voice acting. If anybody needs any voice acting work, please contact me. All my social, I'll give you guys my socials. It's just my name, Paul Loduca, or Paul Loduca Voice. And yeah, you let me know if you guys make it up to Toronto too, please. Take you up for authentic Italian up here.
That's something that's on our radar as well, because Nick mentioned we had Rick Campanelli on with us, and he's kind of been in contact and communication with us the past couple of months, a little more so than when we first had him on. So I think that might be something that we do in the future. What do you think, Nick?
I think you gotta get up there. You do your Toronto tour, and the town will be the same again once Joe Calabrese comes.
Rick's such a sweetheart. I know Rick too, and I'm glad you guys had a great experience with him. He's wonderful.
Yeah, Rick went to the World Cup this past.
Did he?
And he was wearing his I'm right sweatshirt, our podcast sweatshirt.
Of course he was. What a good guy. He did my band's first interview in LA once too. So I was so excited because I grew up watching Rick as well. Much music here too. So he's great.
He's the man. All right, Paul, you're the man too. Appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. That's going to do it here for this episode of I'm Right. For our very special guest, Paul Loduca, my co-host, Joe Calabrese. I'm Nick Durst, and this has been I'm Right.